I would like to start with a poem by Gibran, the great mystic poet. Then the priestess said, "Speak to us of prayer." And he answered, saying, "You pray in your distress and in your need. Would that you might pray also in the fullness of your joy and in your days of abundance. For what is prayer but the expansion of yourself into the living ether? And when it is for your comfort to pour your darkness into space, it is also for your delight to pour forth the dawning of your heart. And if you cannot but weep when your soul summons you to prayer, she should spur you again and yet again through weeping, though weeping, until you shall come laughing. When you pray, you rise to meet in the air those who are praying in that very hour, and whom, save in prayer, you may not meet. Therefore, let your visit to that temple invisible be for naught but ecstasy and sweet communion. But if you should enter the temple for no other purpose than asking, you shall not receive. And if you should enter into it to humble yourself, you shall not be lifted. Or even if you should enter into it to beg for the good of others, you shall not be heard. It is enough that you enter the temple invisible. I cannot teach you how to pray in words. God listens not to your words, save when he himself utters them through your lips. And I cannot teach you the prayer of the seas and the forests and the mountains. But you who are born of the mountains and the forests and the seas can find their prayer in your heart. And if you but listen to the stillness of the night, you shall hear them saying in silence, "Our God, who are our winged self, it is thy will in us that willeth. It is thy desire in us that desireth. It is thy urge in us that would turn our nights, which are thine, into days, which are thine also. We cannot ask thee for aught, for thou knowest our needs before they are born in us. Thou art our need, and in giving us more of thyself, thou givest us all." This poem is the very essence of Mother Mary's teaching, recorded in volume 66, number 1 of the Pearls of Wisdom. In this pearl, she discusses how important it is to see oneself as literally the handmaid of the Lord, not as someone apart from, but the very essence of God himself or herself. In ministering, it's the very essence of God himself or herself ministering to himself and herself in others. To me, this is very, very important. It is God himself in us, ministering to God himself in others. It makes all the difference in the world how one sees himself as someone apart from God or as a manifestation of God. In this case, as Omega, the feminine aspect of God. Mother Mary says, I am the ever-present mother, and I serve my beloved through many peoples and many planes of consciousness, of which you are not aware, nor could you be, for you have your own space of consciousness, and they have their own. But Blessed Mother is everywhere, and I am the opening of the light to many evolutions. Excuse me. There are several things I want to point out in this paragraph. The ever-present mother. When I was on the road for the Masters, I was in northern Norway. And one day there were several people come and said, Carl, you need to go to southern Norway because you need to meet this woman. She's bedridden, she has cancer, she's dying. But believe it or not, the whole town comes in to visit her. Every day, people are coming into her house. She's in the bed, but she counsels them. She's the town mother. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. He told me, you need to go and visit her. You won't find people like this. The mother. The whole town had confidence enough to come and sit by her side, to tell her their problems, etc., etc. The ever-present mother. There is nothing that is not apart from God, Alpha or Omega. There is nothing other than God. And all of us are involved in that life beingness. Alpha is the masculine aspect of God. Omega is the feminine aspect of God. Everything is a manifestation of God. Going back to her teaching, rest your case then with God. For if this service be not of the light, then God has already judged it and its days are numbered. If we could remember that, we don't have to worry about things. If it's not of God, it's going to pass away. It can't live. But if it be of the light, she says, then there is nothing that can stay the hand or the forward movement of the expansion. Now think about that. Think about if our movement is of the spirit of light, it's going to expand, expand. And it is expanding. From where we stand, we look at the attendance every Sunday, and we see new names we've never met before. We don't know where they're from, where they just sign in. And we do go down through each one. Oh, yes, there's this one. That's right. Good. They're open. They're there. Thus the Lord has decreed my coming, she said. I am bidden, and I am here. I would like that you might be my instrument to expand love, to cherish the little children, but above all, to secure souls on the path of salvation through the love of the blessed Son, Jesus, as he is the example of the Christ, which all should become. Mother Mary says this now. Through the love of the beloved Son, Jesus, he is the example of the Christ. He is the example of the Christ, which all should become. All of this is the consciousness of the handmaid of the Lord. Now let's discuss that just a moment. The Lord has decreed my coming. The Lord has decreed every person's coming. You did not come by accident. You only come because you were decreed to come. She says, I am bidden and I am here. Does that say something to you? Some time ago, many years ago now, Nancy and I went on vacation. She had been traveling with the church in South America. And she said, Carl, I'd like for you to go with me to Ecuador. It's a special place. So we went down for a meeting, a business meeting down there. And as we are sitting in the session, all at once, I heard the voice of a nettle over top of the man that was speaking. And he said, Carl, buy a property here. And I said, are you saying buy a property here? Yes, buy a property here. Well, that's interesting. So when the man got done speaking and they took a break and people got out and walked around, Nancy and I walked outside and I said, very interesting. The nettle said we should buy a property here. She said, I heard the same thing. Buy a property here. What does that say about our church? What does that say about our present operation? We don't understand. Well, eventually, all of it came out. Buy a property here. I am bidden. I am here. You are bidden. You are here. We have to begin to see that what we are in manifestation is a manifestation of God where we are put, where we are asked to go, where we are being offered to us the next step up in our whole thrust. She said, if it would be the light, if it be the light, there is nothing that will stop it. It might be slowed down, but it will be. The purpose that we're here for is to expand love, to cherish the children. If you could know the problems of abortion, what abortion brings to this nation. A great historian once said, no civilization, no country can continue to exist who kills your own offspring. The concern of the Master, of Mother Mary, and so on, is the destruction of new birth, new thrust of the Lord through mankind. This cannot continue, or America will be lost. There's a third reason: secure the souls on the path of salvation through the love of the blessed Son, Jesus, as he is the example of the Christ which all should become. This is being the handmaid of the Lord. Does it matter if people agree with you? No. No matter where you stand or what you are for, you always have those who disagree with you. And in our day, we have really expanded the whole way of pushing everybody's button if you don't agree with so-and-so or so-and-so or so-and-so. They did it to Jesus. They will do it to you. It really doesn't matter. All they're doing is sharing with you their light or darkness. If you don't take it seriously, you can move forward witnessing of the light. To go back to the teaching, my concern, Mary said, is with the lost sheep of the house of Israel, who have not known Messiah, but who have perpetually postponed his coming. For the indwelling Christ must also be resurrected in them. Going back centuries after centuries after centuries, mankind was created the very essence of God himself. The lost sheep of the house of Israel are people who have over lifetime after lifetime ignored him, until the point is they no longer have that sense. They're lost. They're people who refuse to follow that higher thrust of the master. You also have soulless people. Mandello has a book about this. The soulless people, people created by the fallen ones. And when the fallen ones create life, they can't put a soul to it because they aren't a soul. And so the soulless ones are just like robots. And they're very concerned right now with this artificial intelligence because it can create soulless ones. This is the concern about this whole thing. That's why you as a person who are a manifestation of the Father, you have to watch, because if you turn over to them, it's an amazing thing. You ask them for a question. You ask the artificial intelligence for a question. It's amazing what comes up with it. I mean, just ask them any question, and they, in seconds, will put something together for you in an answer that you just have to shake your head. But if the fallen ones are working with them, which they are, then you have to be careful that you don't go that route. The inferences and so on like this and all at once, you're off the beat. That's why it's so important for us to really be concerned and seeing your own inner guidance as a mainstay here. Don't just take everything you read, because it is very convincing when they put it together. You want to be sure that you work with the master and that inner awareness. The indwelling Christ then must be resurrected in all people. And this is the concern of Mother Mary. She says, I am one who is a sphere of being. I come to challenge darkness. I come to reveal the way of the ascension and to dispel the error of doctrine that only one Son can ascend as Jesus did. That's the background. That's my background. If I were to say to some of the people in my background that you are God, they would say, Carl, I don't know where you're going, but that's not only Jesus, only Jesus. I'm sorry, but that's what Mother Mary is saying here. No, you are a spherical being. It's like my mother used to make cookies, lots of cookies. I remember seeing her, she'd get everything put together, and it was a big ball. And then she would take a little bit of that ball and she would make a ball out of it and put it on the cookie sheet. And then she would take a glass and she would flatten it out. And she would have a whole bunch of cookies when she was done. This is how you and I were made. Masters say, the Father called a seraphim angel to witness, and he took a part of himself and he said, this is the next one. And that seraphim angel was assigned to walk with him from that point until he went around the whole thing of experiencing that inner thrust that he go out on, and that angel was stuck with him until he ascended. So you have a seraphim angel. You have, he's been with you all the way around, and you're moving up toward that point where you can ascend, the homecoming of what happens. So when you see this, you can say with Mother Mary, I am also a spherical being. I am a manifestation, spherical, and that it's a moving type thing. You know yourself when you sit down and you become still, and your mind and your consciousness moves up. And as you move up, all at once, there's joy, there's happiness, there's peace. It doesn't matter if you've heard anything at all. If suddenly everything relaxes and you become one in the Father again. And this is what the whole point is. So Mary is saying she is a spirit as God is spirit, a spherical being, a spiritual being, as all of us are. She came to challenge the darkness, and so did you, revealing the way of the ascension and to dispel the error of doctrine. Then she continues, I live in the Spirit of God. Now, Mother Mary is just like you and us. except she's one of the angels, but she was born of a woman. She was the mother of all living. And as God has created infinite worlds and infinite offsprings, she says, so to each and every one, he has provided the pathway of redemption through the intercession of the Logos personified, the real Christ self of everyone. This is the teaching of universal love, which is not confined to planets or to dimensions or to evolutions, nor can it be confined to or stamped out by dogma contrived. Each of us live in the Spirit of God. There is no other way to live. The Spirit of God is the reality of everything. She says, I live, the mother of all living. We do not have a soul, we are one. And it's so important to begin to understand this. To each and every one, he has provided a pathway of redemption through intercession of the Logos personified by the real Christ self of every person. Some of them are way back in the background. Others are very close. All depends on where you are in your consciousness and where you have responded to the Master. As the cookie is temporary until it is baked, so the soul is temporary until it chooses to become as Father or Mother of God. It's vibration, it's reality. This is the teaching of universal love, which is not confined to planets or dimensions or evolutions, nor can it be stamped out by a church's dogma that we might have come up through. She continues, we come, we of the ascended hosts, in an age of liberation to all. We come to restore the flame of Mother. We come with a teaching that is with an energy, and we say with Kuan Yin, Pallas Athena, Nada, and the angelic hosts, behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Behold, I am the Shakti of the Lord. Shakti and handmaid are the same, different languages. Did you know that in your soul you too can declare, man and woman, that your soul is the release of God's energy, and therefore you become God in action. The quintessence or most perfect example of the feminine principle. And by becoming that essence of light, you are the focal point for the redemption of the masculine ray. It's very important teaching. Being a man, you could very easily say, well, that's women's stuff. No, it's not. Another mother would say, man has 60% masculine energy and 40% feminine energy. Women have 60% feminine energy and 40% masculine energy. You have a woman that's just overwhelmingly masculine energy. She's very masculine. If you have men who are overwhelmingly feminine energy. And you have an effeminate man. And this is one thing that they're pushing, like everything today. They want all men to become effeminate. Sorry, that's not why we were made. We were made man and woman. The feminine energy is the creative energy. It's the energy that gives birth. Masculine energy is the protective energy. We have to begin to see how we operate, because in our experiences in our past lives, we have brought in us. And therefore, you have people who were in past lives very strong in one way or another can be born in this lifetime with the purpose of balancing that energy. So you might have a child who's rather masculine, likes to play with the boys and so on, but she's a girl. It's because in another lifetime, last lifetime, she may have been a very strong man. And now she's trying to balance, bring it over the balance of the karmic part of it. So it's very important not to be swayed by the negative stuff that's going on in our world right now. It's a very, shall I say, financial thing if someone can convince somebody to go through all the operations. Who's getting rich by this? You just take a look, because by by doing what we're doing with the sexes nowadays, it neutralizes the person and their reason for being, why they came. They have no idea because they're not spiritually aware. They are of the negative force. So, behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Behold, I am the Shakti of the Lord. I live in the Spirit of God, the mother of all living. We do not have a soul. We are one. And to each and every one, He has provided a pathway for redemption. This is why it's so important for us who are working with the masters to really be people who understand what's going on and share with those who are open to be shared with. Okay. She next says, so among womankind, some among womankind have blamed the masculine ray for their descent. Beloved ones, it is rather the descent of the feminine ray that preceded the descent of the masculine ray. And therefore, the order of the ascent must be the ennoblement first of woman, and then woman's ennoblement of every soul, and then the soul's recognition of the polarity of father and mother and the return of grace. Some among womankind have blamed the masculine ray for their descent. But beloved ones, it is rather the descent of the feminine ray that preceded the descent of the masculine ray. Garden of Eden story has evidently got some reality to it. And we need to take a good look. Therefore, the order of the ascent must be the ennoblement first of women. The ennoblement of woman. And then by the woman knowing her own deity, her own divine nature, I should say. By that, she can then show the children the growing up aspect of divinity. Very important for us to understand that. She said, I come to tarry in your midst, to transfer a flame of my consciousness, especially to increase and intensify the burning of your heart's love for your own real self. Listen to that. I must repeat. I come to tarry in your midst, to transfer a flame of my consciousness, especially to increase and intensify the burning of your heart's love for your own real self. So as you look in the mirror, how do you feel? I feel very sharp. That's what you should not do. See in yourself your divine reality. Begin to give thanks for that divine reality. I am God in manifestation. This day I am sent by my Father unto do his work. He said, I come for the dissolving of schism within the subconscious life. Anytime you feel bad about yourself, you condemn yourself, you don't feel like you're up where you should be, etc., you have schism in your subconscious. And you need to grab a hold of that thing and start transmuting it out. She also says, I come to transmute also the schism of the church and the schism within the body of God upon earth. I come to heal division, not by an amalgamation of light and darkness, not by combining the two of them, no, but by the eternal process of the serpent swallowing its tail, of light assimilating darkness, of light consuming darkness, of light seizing darkness and making it light. This is what we do with the violet flame. This is the whole purpose right now of Saint Germain's teachings as we work day after day after day. An hour in the morning, we do a lot of it at 8 o'clock at night when we do our decrees. It's a matter of understanding. We are taking the negative and we're transmuting it. We are challenging it. We are changing the very basic, bringing it into the higher light. So she says, I'm tarrying in your midst so that you can actually feel it from me. This is the way the mother works. This is the way then I work. When I see it in Mother Mary, when I feel it in Mother Mary, then when I meet it on the life and during the day in my work and so on, I know what to do with it. I watched Mother Mary work with it, therefore I work with it. I come dissolving schism of the subconscious life of the individual. And you with small children, you can help the child do the same thing. You will be doing a tremendous gift, giving them a tremendous gift. She continues, I am the circle of infinite fire. I march with the legions of Mercury. I march with the children of the sun. I am with you, blessed ones, and I desire with a deep desiring an ever-increasing devotion to my immaculate heart and the Immaculate Heart of Jesus. And the greatest devotion you can give, remember this, is to see our heart become your heart, and your heart become God's heart. I desire with a deep desiring and ever increasing devotion to my immaculate heart and the Immaculate Heart of Jesus. Can you visualize Jesus's heart becoming your heart? Mother Mary's heart becoming your heart, and your heart becoming God's heart. You begin to see the process of moving to that point where you see yourself as God in manifestation. Forget all the sin that's in the past. Forget what mistakes you have ever made. Forget all of that stuff. When you keep feeling the guilt feelings projected by the lower echelons of spirit, when they keep projecting what you feel guilty for, the moment you can bypass that and start thinking in terms and thinking constantly in terms of your higher spiritual being, the rest will start falling away. This is the way life is created. So, blessed ones, each time you see the painting of the Immaculate Heart, immediately transfer our Christ self to your own. We stand as the example, not the exception. Get that? Jesus is not the exception. He is the example that all of us are to be like. And I shake the very timbers of the church and the state to bring sense and sensitivity to this earth, sensitivity to the Christ within your temple, sensitivity to the law, and an awareness that is the fear of the Lord, the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the oncoming cataclysm of descending karma that will surely come to every doorstep ere the age shall pass, unless there is a swift return by redemption to the flaming heart of the Immaculate One. My friends, this is what it means to believe in Mother Mary and to take from her this reality. She said, I am Mary. I converse with cosmic councils of ascended ones. I converse with the saints and with the Lord. And the hosts of heaven are gathering for a great gathering unto the harvest of the Lord of the children of the One, the children of the Son. I charge you then to invoke the sacred fire, the circle of blue flame, to bind those forces of darkness that would put down the mother's teaching of the new age, the teaching that will reveal the seed of the liar within the very midst of the congregation of the righteous. And that will expose the impostors of the Holy Spirit and the wolves in sheep's clothing. I come then with the sword of truth. I come to give each of you an increment of my self-awareness as the handmaid of the Lord, that you might receive the seed of the Holy Spirit and experience the birth of the Christ within you. This is my initiation unto you, that I stand in your very midst, the full concentration of my eternal light body, that I give this body unto you to assimilate and to become Become Mother Mary. Become her vibration. Become her frequencies of energy. Blessed hearts, we of the heavenly host are weary of the adulation that denies the God within self and gives the idolatrous worship to our own self. Be careful with that. Some of us love Mother Mary so much, but we can't stand ourselves. No, they're not interested in that. She said, beloved ones, this form of religion does not contribute one iota of light to the universe, but only perpetuates the darkness of sin and the sense of sin, whereby the children of God are denied the assimilation of the blessed Son, the blessed Father, Spirit, and Mother Flame. Oh, beloved hearts, how heaven rejoices that finally thousands upon earth have come into the alignment with God's will and have the courage to accept the opportunity for the divinity to burst forth as the lily of the resurrection within. You can scarcely imagine how great is the increase of light within your temple when you follow the true mystical pathway of the saints, who each and every one who will really who were really saints knew that they were the instrument of Christ and that they were ordained to be Christ as offspring of the Most High. They claimed their joint airship, and therefore ascended at the conclusion of their life. Most beloved ones, it is the hour of the ennobling of a race. And it is the hour of the striking of the bell, so that the majority of light bearers might hear the voice of the Lord, hear the sounding of the soundless word. Look up, behold the hosts of heaven, and live in this age to proclaim the King of Kings and Lord of Lords within the temple. If we, the ascended host, could transfer this consciousness to 10,000 additional souls in this hour of the year's turning, we could offer a dispensation of light extraordinary in dimension. I pray then that you will pray that God will send his angels and give that instantaneous awareness in the twinkling of an eye, whereby the rapture is experienced as soul by soul, and the lights of God are caught up into the higher consciousness. Beloved Mother Mary, we are ready. Being the handmaid of the Lord, we open our hearts to become truly mothers of the earth. Teach us more now.